Hello and welcome to Hak It. I'm Sakshi, the CEO and founder of Foodhak. In each episode of Hak It, we'll be discussing females, founders, and of course food with some of my favorite people in the world. I've brought together some of my fellow founders to talk about their journeys, the challenges, the highs and lows of being a founder. And of course, we end each episode with a little nugget on food as medicine. I'm super excited to share this with you, and I hope you enjoy it. Hi guys, today I have the very dynamic, the crazy, the fun, the super creative, community builder, ex-tech executive, Tamta on the show. Please welcome Tamta. She's a multiple founder of Unorthodox Ventures, Founders Social, My Kitchen, Her Story. So today I just want to hear from her why she's doing all these amazing things, why she left her big, comfortable, sexy tech job and all these big tech companies, and what urged her to build this community so many times over. So over to you, Tamta. Tell everybody your story, who you are, and what you're doing, and what made you do all of it. Just keep talking.
Oh my God, how long do we have?
A lifetime.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited. I hope we get to like a snack on some of this deliciousness too while we chat, But super happy to be here and share my story. I always love talking about all things female founders, so anytime. Let's see where to begin.
Right from the start.
I was born in Tbilisi, Georgia. And I say Tbilisi, Georgia because usually I say Georgia. They're like, are you from
American.
States? American? Yeah. There was an evolution actually. Like since I moved to the UK, it started from like, oh, like you're American, then to, oh, you're Russian, and then to, oh, like Georgia where the wine was born. I was like,
interesting.
Yeah, so I guess we now all know.
Have you seen that perception change, especially after the war?
Yeah, and I think now everybody knows. Well, most people know what Georgia is. Actually, the weirdest one I've gotten once, which was really, really bizarre. I was at the bar and this random guy started chatting, and basic questions like, "Where are you from? What's your name?" Da da da. And when I said I was from Georgia, he was like, "Oh, where in India is that?"
Oh. Okay, that is weird.
I know,
we don't have any place called Georgia in India.
That was pretty bizarre. But anyway,
let's go
away
back,
from Georgia. So I've been in this country for 15 years. I came here for studies, did my second bachelor and MBA, and then got into tech industry extremely accidentally. I didn't really know much in terms of the software kind of tech, and not something I studied business, but not really something that we really did a deep dive on. And I got a call from a recruiter asking me if I wanted to work in a software business, and I was like, I don't know, sounds something I don't know, so like let's give it a try. And that launched my tech career, and I went across kind of big blue chip tech companies from IBM to Salesforce to Google and Palantir, launching their sales teams, go-to-market strategies, and really kind of like large, big, juicy, complex deal negotiations with governmental and non-governmental organizations. And although that was so colorful and it has had a lot of challenges, but also a lot of rewards too. I think I've reached the stage in my life where I just wanted to wake up and be so excited about what I'm doing that I couldn't stay in bed for much longer. So, and I really also wanted to do something that was quite high impact. It was nimble, it was agile. I could directly impact how it could be molded and the outcome of it. I really wanted it to be female-centric because as coming from an industry such as tech, where I was one of very few, if not the only female executives in a boardroom, I always missed having a female mentor or female colleagues or women that I could work with and that we had shared experiences with, and we could really understand one another, and also the ones that I could look up to. And so I left without really knowing what I was going to do. And I remember when I was asked by, my leader at that time where I was going, I said, I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out. And he was like, I'll see you back in 6 months. And that was over 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I proceeded to launch Unorthodox Ventures. Now, what's Unorthodox Ventures? I am a big believer in market shaping your offering, whether it's a product or a service, it being shaped by the need of your potential customers, or the market. And I wanted my first business to have been something where I could have where my skills could have been transferred from all of the experience that I had in my tech kind of industry, but also with a sprinkle of Tamta's passion. And that was Unorthodox Ventures. It's a firm that works with venture capital funds and private equity funds, institutional investors, on raising capital in a very unorthodox way. So we help funds merge explicit and implicit data and really to increase the conversions of their potential investors in their organizations. And that includes implementing a sales strategy and sales process and building that skill set and the team who is going to go to the market and get the capital, and as well as merge that with the psychology. So who are you meeting? Why are you meeting them? What's their interest? Why are they the perfect investor for you? How should you dress for that meeting depending on who you're meeting? What is their cultural background? And really, what is the tone of voice, the type of messaging that you should be directing to them via a specific channel that resonates with that person the most?
I love this. We need you
Loaded.
at Foodhak. We need you at Foodhak because now we're scaling these products into larger commercial partners, and sales is like now a big part of, it's a big part of our roadmap ahead. And I just love these questions about like their cultural, like know who you're pitching to so well.
It's so important.
That like you know them better than you even know some of your friends. I love that, the psychology of it.
Yeah, it's so important. And actually, I made a post on my LinkedIn this morning about, and the headline was, I don't need you, I want you. It's a bit provocative.
That is.
But it's like, know who you want, right? Yeah. Like, don't just go wide and, generic and, try to knock on every single door. It's just ineffective. Also doesn't make them feel like you know what your business needs. But also, quite frankly, 99% of the investors, you don't want them in your business. Like, you don't. This is a more important decision than, choosing a partner in a way, because there is money involved. There are financials involved. There is a livelihood of potentially your family and your employees involved in this. So you need to be extremely careful who are you bringing into your kitchen.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
So
yeah, because I think what you said, I don't need you, I want you. Yeah, because I think your I need you attitude kind of just drips desperation, whereas I want you is more, it's almost like I want you and then you should want me back, which is
and
what
that's so
you're trying to
important.
emulate.
Leveling out the power dynamics is one of the number one things that I teach my clients and I discuss with them. You do not ever want to be in a situation where you are a beggar.
Yeah.
You are a chooser as much as they are, right? Like, you choose one another. You choose to work on this opportunity that is an opportunity for them, right? Like, you are the founder of this amazing company with delicious snacks and, so many health benefits that changes people's lives and health and all of the things, right? Like, this, you are the mastermind of your company. You are choosing to bring in this person as an investor or strategic partner, whoever that is, because you know that they can add value as well as you going to give them really great returns.
Yeah.
Right.
And that for me, it's also important, like, if they believe in my mission, if they'll be with me for the long term.
Exactly.
If they see it, if they see the vision, like, I don't want another skeptic on my cap table. The minute things go a little rough, like, that guy is going to be like, hey, pull out of this, stop producing this. I mean, this woman is dangerous. I love this. I love this psychology of selling and pitching, because I think it's so important for you to share this with, the community in the UK, because in our previous episode, or in one of the episodes with Siddhi, we spoke about a lack of community, especially in female founders. And we see this as a bit of a recurring theme, where there is a lack of female founders. There's a lack of female founders getting funded. There's a lack of female founders switching and taking the leap into entrepreneurship, And possibly it's to do with this human psychology element that you're talking about.
So it's a complex one, right? Like, we have a lot of female founders, a lot more than we used to have, which is great, and that number is increasing. And there are multiple different facets as to why women are more thoughtful about making that jump from corporate into entrepreneurship, or even from home to entrepreneurship. And there's also a whole different ways of how women raise capital versus how men raise capital.
Yeah, tell us. What are some of the differences you see?
Honestly, so many, because I deal with both of them every single day. Even, let's say, if we look at them from the venture side, right? Like, these people are not just first-time founders. These people have been investors for a very long time. They've had a very successful career, and then they proceeded to go and launch a fund, right? Like, you would think these people are extremely confident with their capability. They have an ecosystem around them, and they're really comfortable going into a room and asking for money. They're not. And let me tell you why. First of all, usually when men face a problem or a gap in their knowledge, where they don't really have a knowledge around it, but they need to do something, right? Like, an investor asks you to start to develop one more arm to your go-to-market strategy. Usually men go, sure, I'll figure it out. And they either delegate, or they Google it, or they just fake it until they make it. Now, when a female is faced with the same request, we usually go, I don't know this. What do I need to know to learn and be proficient in this? Who are the people I can surround myself with to help me do this in a right way, not to let my investors down and my customers down? And this is going to take X amount of time. We're going to test it, and then we're going to do it. Okay, so what does that mean? That means we are, in a way, risk averse. We are extremely considerate with external capital. That's why we are so good at the final product and the result, because we plan meticulously. We're detail-oriented, we can multitask, and we really take lots of different moving parts into consideration. Is that the best thing? The most efficient thing? No, not efficient. The best thing? We don't know. It really depends. Sometimes you have to just do it and see how it goes. And I always tell to all of my founders, when you are an early stage startup and you are raising capital, you are attracting and therefore bringing on board early stage investors. They know the risks. They know that, at a pre-seed level, it can fail. They might lose money, or they might get 10x.
And there will be stuff like, you'll figure it out, whether it's a man or a female. There will be stuff you will figure things out at a pre-seed level. You will pivot for the right things. You
will for sure pivot.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think what you're saying is that women tend to overthink and over-engineer a problem that... And maybe they even amplify the problem.
A lot of the times.
Whereas the answer sometimes is, I'm going to get it done.
Yeah.
And that's all that the other person wants to hear. Because I think the people you mention in this example are people who have extremely low concentration cycles, ADD. Right? Like, they don't have time for you to explain exactly the steps you will take to figure it out. And frankly, they don't know. It's none of their business. right? When you hear someone say, hey, how do you think about subject X? Just say, yeah, this is what I think, and I'm going to deliver this. That's it. And then you figure out the steps that are required. I love this because you're so right. You're so right. I think people in the UK especially need to hear this because I think Americans do a better job at it.
They have a higher risk appetite.
Yeah.
And we can discuss that why for a very long time, right? Like because of the cultural backgrounds, because of how, like the country and the power dynamics and the risk dynamics that they were raised in, because of what they've been exposed to. And then it goes deeper and more personalized, right? Like what kind of family they were raised in, and like what did they have to fight for it? Were they inspired by the parents or not? Lack of education or an existence of it.
Of course,
so many different.
Yeah,
but in the UK, there is US, there is Europe, and then there is UK, right? We are very polite. We are very mindful. We don't want to step on anybody's toes. We want to be respectful. And so there is a lot of, could you please, would you please, thank you in advance before you've even thought about doing it. And then maybe you'll do it in 3 months. Right? Yeah. And so there is that. And there is a reason why when you look at the unicorns, UK against US, I mean, like you can't compare. Right? And it takes a certain type of individual to want to do it this way. And there is no perfect way. I mean, like, this is just, like, very much, like, my opinion, how I like to do things, what I've observed. But then, you know, some people might come for us and be like, what do you mean? You know, like, we are doing things in a great way. Great. If it works for you, then, like, do it. Perfect.
Yeah. And I love that you're sharing some of these insights constantly. You know, with your community, you're building a community focused on females. So tell us more about your other venture, which is My Kitchen, Your Story.
Yeah.
That's where I first met you at this amazing dinner for the first time. And and I mean, you're so warm and amazing. It felt like we knew each other for ages.
I know.
You brought all these like-minded women together in this beautiful setting because you know, we like our aesthetics and the smells and a lovely chef and, the food was amazing.
I know.
And the
so
wine
important.
and the conversations. And it was a real community building event. You woke up next morning feeling energized, feeling happy, and those things are those beautifully curated events.
They matter.
Handpicked.
They matter.
With women who are on a similar wavelength and positive energies. They matter. They matter in community building, where you wake up in the morning and you're like, yeah, like we should do more of these, to build this ecosystem. We can't just be waiting for someone else to build it. Let's just do our bit. So tell us more about My Kitchen, Your Story.
So let me tell you a little bit about Founder Social because that's how My Kitchen, Her Story was inspired. So while I was building Unorthodox Ventures, I was organized. I'm a big organizer. I love organizing, especially things over food. My love for food is
next level.
Yes,
so you're in the right place.
Whatever that word is. Anyway, and so I was planning a dinner for 3 of my girlfriends and I. It was meant to be 4 of us. And then they started inviting they were all investors. And so they started inviting their other friends who were investors, their founders they invested in. And we ended up being 15 women at that dinner in Malibu. And then that was just over a year ago. Now we have over 3,500 women across our platforms.
Wow.
And those are women who are either founders or investors. And this community has shaped into a group of these really high caliber, influential, smart, beautiful women who are just there to help one another. They're not there to self-promote. They're not there to sell you something, although we have partnerships and investments coming out of it all the time, coming out from back of these introductions in the community. However, the ultimate goal is to network, meet one another, support one another on our journey. And we do a lot of events where we bring these women together. And we had one like around a week ago. We had 83 women come and just had an amazing evening of just meeting one another, having a glass of champagne, talking about investments, talking about their entrepreneurial journey. And more I met these women, more I found the need to have a platform where we tell their unfiltered story, where you're not just your business. You're not just your corporate experience. You're not just your country you're from, or the parents that you raised you, or someone you married to, or the children you're mother to. You're all of the above and so much more. And so I started thinking about having a podcast at the beginning, where we could dive into these women's backgrounds and really understand culturally, what shaped them into an entrepreneur there today, and how they came all the way here to launch their business. And we were 5 days out before we were gonna record first 4 guests, and they were all booked in, done. It was meant to be on my sofa, one camera, like super chill, maybe a cup of tea, whatever, and chat about it. And I remember it so vividly. It was Tuesday night, and I was talking to a friend of mine who is an amazing chef, Massimo Bottura, from Osteria Francescana in Modena. And we were just catching up, and he was like, how are things going? What's happening? And I told him about this podcast that I'm launching, and he was like, okay, I understand, Tamta, all of this like a female angle, and that's so interesting, but like you need to have food aspect in it. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what is he even talking about? What food? This is like business talks and like really, interesting talks with female entrepreneurs. Anyway, that night I couldn't sleep. And in the morning, my friends, who were also my friends, my team was coming over. And I looked at them and I was like, we're pivoting. We're going to do a show where we still interview these females, but we do so while cooking their favorite dish. And they look at me and they're like, have you lost the plot? What do you mean? Like, a show. So we need now a huge kitchen where we can fit all the equipment, and a new production team. And rebrief the guests, and that all needs to happen in like 4 days. I was like, it's okay. We can do it. So over the next 24 hours, we found the kitchen, which was the Pug and Paul kitchen, where we went over dinner that I hosted, and we found a new production team, One Slate Media, that we've been working with since then, and they've been amazing. Now, that you always know when you hit the aha moment. You always know. I knew it with my first business, even the name of it. I knew with this show, and it's just been the most rewarding experience maybe ever, to really speak to these women and really understand them on a human level rather than on just like a board room level of like, check, what's your annual revenue? Check, like, who is your co-founder? Check, like, who are your customers? Check, what's your go-to-market strategy? Check, how much did you raise? Like, all good things, but really, like, you are investing in a founder, and if he or she can take that idea and run with it and fly versus everything else, all the check boxes, you can read the CV, you can put whatever you want on that CV. If you can't get in that room with me and have a really honest conversation and develop that trust and faith, I don't want it.
I love that. I think it's a very interesting approach to community building. It's focused in a sense where, focused on females. It's got this community aspect. It's got this authentic aspect. It's got this fun and glamorous aspect. I love this link between community, females, and food that you're building.
Yeah.
So tell us, like, what's your vision for this platform?
I want My Kitchen, Her Story to be in every single country. because I do believe that our culture, our countries really influence us. We have different socioeconomic situations in all of them, different political, economical situations. We are then on an even deeper and more personal level, right? Like we're all born into different families, or some are not even, right? And don't have those families. We have different support systems. And I think that really guides us, and that really shapes us, and that really almost dictates our future experiences and the path down the line. And so I would love for every woman and man to not feel like they are alone. They are the only ones who had hardships or experienced certain things, because quite frankly, nobody is really unique, and everybody is unique in a way. So the way we go through experiences, others might go through technically the same ones, however, feel differently and have a different perspective of it. So I would love to have my kitchen, her story in every single country, tell those women's stories, cook their national dishes. And the dishes we cook, they're just something that is connected either to their childhood or their current, life. And it's not a cooking show, right? But when you go to someone's house, usually, I'm from Georgia. We're very, traditional. We love hosting guests and all of that. Traditionally, you kind of are in the kitchen, cozied up with like a glass of something or a cup of tea or whatever, chatting and catching up on that gossip and like what's happening. And like all the juicy conversations happen in the kitchen. And our show too.
Yeah.
We're getting really candid and really kind of personal there. So I would love to see us celebrate all women around the world and do so with a sparkle, even when we talk about really hard topics. We have some really, really vulnerable stories that have been told there, but we dress up, we shine, because I do believe that being in a beautiful environment, putting on the clothes that makes you feel beautiful and comfortable, whatever that is to you, is really important. And it really even like shapes our mood at times. So with Founder Social, actually, a lot of the times we have incredible sponsors who want to support the community and, give them a platform. And we host events with our sponsors. And the amount of times I've been asked to host it at their offices?
Oh.
Every day. I'm like, I don't want to go from an office to an office. Yeah. And I don't want to ask someone to do that.
True.
Like, why? Let's get away from you have to wear this gray, boring suit because you're going to meet someone in an office, and you have to behave a certain way, and you have to dress a certain way, and you have to host it, and don't laugh too much and too loud, and don't do this and don't do that and don't say that. Just do whatever hell you want to do. Like, just be authentically you, because that's infectious. For me, beauty is important. So I would never host Founder Social event in a boring office. We always host in beautiful spaces like Curve Club or the Old Sessions House, or, beautiful buildings that are warm, welcoming, makes you feel good about yourself, inspires you. And I usually go home after these events. I can't sleep that night because I am so high on adrenaline that I'm just buzzing. So I want that for everyone. And I want everyone, women or men, to feel that and to know that they are special. They have something different to say, and they deserve to be heard, but also in their own way. I think everyone is attracted to a bit of an outlier. Everyone is attracted to a bit of a unicorn, someone who is not a sheep, who is a leader. So,
I love that. I could just hear you forever. But I want to ask more questions.
I will stay here longer.
So tell me, what do you see as some of the traits that make a founder, a successful founder, or what are those common traits between men and women, and what are the differences? But what makes a founder, successful or not? But what makes someone make that switch from a sexy, high-paying, comfort job into a bloody hell of a ride of a lifetime.
Yeah. I think being unapologetic
Yeah.
is one. And unapologetic, bullish, whatever it is, right? Like there is a founder who researches to make sure that it's the right idea. And then there's a founder who's like, I have that little feeling right here, you know? And how many investors do you know who just invest in just an idea? It's not even on the paper. A lot. And even though people love to say that it's so hard to raise right now and the markets are difficult, money's still there. Now, investors are a little bit more careful because markets are a little bit volatile right now. But who do you think they invest in? They invest in people who invest in themselves, who believe in themselves, and who are bullish on their ideas. It could be literally anything. You can be selling me a jug of nothing, and I'll buy it if I know that you are a good enough marketer. You're confident enough to go and market this in a way that you're going to sell out tomorrow.
I love that.
Right? So because we can really go deep and wide and all of that in terms of what are the different skill sets and like what should you do and what kind of research and and what's the market strategy, who are the advisory board and who do you have around you. All very important points. But ultimately, if you are not comfortable with yourself and you really truly inside, not the fake one, because like the fake it until you make it doesn't really work, I found, with the confidence. People can smell it. Like we know when you're fake confident and loud confident, rather than when you walk into a room, it's like, I've arrived.
I love that. And see, I mean, we actually spoke about that in a couple of episodes. There was a fake you and there was a real you. And, there is confidence and then there's just overconfidence and cockiness.
There's cockiness and there's arrogance.
There's fine lines.
Yeah, for sure.
There's fine lines in all of this. And I think being your authentic self, like your real self, whoever that is, right? Like matching that energy, whether it's feminine, masculine, mix of both, and having that belief that like you're building something for the future that's going to change people's lives for the better, and just believing in the fact that, even after getting like 99 out of 100 no's, just believing that doesn't matter. It's their loss. I'm going to change this world, and just combining that with the authenticity is like a founder I would back. But actually what I've seen, because I used to be an investor before at SoftBank, is that I think that most founders, what makes founders is like this hunger, this fire in their belly. And I feel that a lot of us are like born out of rejection. This is going to sound controversial, because a lot of us have this point to prove, and so I think it's so because I was just in the US at this amazing conference that one of my investors had put together in Hudson Valley, which had like these amazing accomplished people, founders, investors, CEOs.
I saw your post about it. Looked fantastic.
Yeah, CEOs of these amazing, massive organizations, athletes, the most successful athletes in the world, and there was this woman panel, which had these really interesting people like models and, singers, entrepreneurs. And actually they all were saying the same thing, that, there is this thing when I'm going to prove you wrong. And Ashley Graham, actually, she was on stage and she mentioned, she was like, the number of people that said to me that you're plus size and plus size can never be a model. And she's like, after I made it to the front cover of Vogue.
Was that Ashley Graham?
Yeah, Ashley Graham.
Was it? Okay.
She was on stage and she was like, when I made it, I actually wrote a letter to all those people that said a no to me. And I said, thank you. Because if you hadn't rejected me, I wouldn't have had this fire in my belly, this hunger that I'm going to prove you wrong. Right? And it's just, you have to, like for me, like I just want to make sure that fire, and I do have this crazy fire and hunger in my belly, and I just want to make sure that I do it gracefully and positively, working on myself, because I think that's the key for me, is that how do you make that fire and use it positively? in the world, in the universe, in
Yeah.
your interactions with investors or in your interactions with clients and, all of that, like even sales, right? Because like it can be quite like frustrating, where you're
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to sell a
it-
product to someone who
yeah.
who doesn't really get it, right? And so how like what are some of the differences that you've seen in like in your previous life when you've been in situations with men and women and trying to sell these products where some people got it, some people didn't. Like share some tips. I'm fascinated with this sales journey of yours because I think it's such an important sales skill to have. It's
Yeah.
storytelling, right? It's selling.
Yeah,
Storytelling.
Absolutely. Let me get back to you on that sales side, but just to address that fire that's ignited by the rejection, I agree. There are two usually sources of that fire. There is a rejection, and then there's a delusion. So, a combination of both is even better. It's like there are you could have maybe faced the rejection and you have that kind of like a little bit of a revenge, a little bit of a I'm gonna prove you wrong, or there's also a delusion where is this like ultimate confidence that can be quite annoying and triggering for people. So some people, where it's like, what do you mean this investor hasn't called me back? He's probably dead. Otherwise, why wouldn't he want to invest in me? I mean, that's ridiculous because my idea is the best idea in the world.
Yeah. That sounds crazy.
I mean, but it works. You kind of like, you just walk the street and it's like, well, of course I'm successful. And of course my business is going to fly because it's like literally the best. It's the ultimate confidence where it's almost unpalatable and not understandable for many people, but I've seen it work many times because you create that energy and that unapologetic positivity and you project it back to the world and the world loves it. And they sometimes feel jealous of it and envious, and other times they feel inspired by it. So there are two those aspects. But in terms of the sales, look, I went through the learning of how to do a hard pitch to how to have them pitch to me. And that's just a journey. And sales really, really grows very thick skin because you get rejected every day, all day. And I mean, who wants to be rejected? It's one of the hardest things for a human to palate psychologically. It's one of the form of torture, in fact, because that knocks down your psychological immune system. That really makes you feel insecure. It makes you question your worth, your value. It can drive you being suicidal, right? Why homelessness is one of the bigger and the most destroying, soul destroying and mental health destroying state of being is because you get rejected by people who pass by you every single second a day. And it's just like that state of like being naked and like nobody sees you and being there, but you're invisible. And so a lot of the times in sales, and let's be clear, we're not equalizing kind of like a sales rejection to being homeless, but a lot of the times people don't last in sales jobs because they can't handle it, because then it makes them question themselves and their abilities and skills, and it's really hard. But when you are actually taking the driver's seat, because you have a product, whether it's a healthy snacks or whether it's just software, that can, end wars, and whether it's, a medical device that can cure a disease, whatever that is, you need to understand what is the value of this product and who is your addressable market. And then you just go for it. Because in those conversations, there should never be like, you need to buy this because I have a sales quota to hit. No. Here is our product. You need this because you are inefficient here. You're losing money here. You are damaging your health here, you're going to die so much sooner if you don't do this. Depending on what the product you're selling, right? Like, what are the really undoubtedly positive benefits of them having this product? And product sells itself. And so I had to really arrive to that destination where, okay, in terms of the product-wise, I know exactly that it sells itself. Like, I don't even need to talk about the product. I'm not even talking to them about product. It's more like, why are you the right person to buy this product? Why are you the right defense minister that I should give access to this, tech to? Why are you the right customer that I should allow to buy this product, right? And really understand what is then their decision-making process, decision-making criteria, and who else is involved in that sales process. Because a lot of the times people forget when they get into a room with the highest executive, it's like, I am meeting a CEO, so this is going to be the closing meeting. Really? CEOs usually don't make purchasing decisions. They're visionaries. They care about the vision and how your product can potentially influence that vision and be a really small contributing factor. But normally then they go and delegate. Unless they're, very small company where people wear multiple hats. Now, they usually disregard people underneath, people on the ground, right? Like, who are going to be the users of that specific product on a daily basis, who are going to be champions, influencers, who are going to make noise pro or against you. So there are all of these aspects of sales where it's like there is a process. How do you run it as a well-oiled machine? What do you expect from meeting 1, meeting 5? What's your length of the sales cycle and what it takes to convert 2 people and who you need to have on board. And 3 is the technology, how you manage all of the people and processes and how you visualize all of that without getting overwhelmed and getting lost in your sales conversations.
I love that. I think for me, and many other founders out there who've got products and services and technology to sell, especially to B2B clients, I think these are great tips. For me, I think the big learning has been, do your homework, do your due diligence on exactly who you're pitching, understand the psychology of that business and the person you're pitching to, which is understand, some of the things they might be struggling with that your solution can provide value to. And third, you automatically end up in this situation where it's like you're pitching to me for my product.
Exactly.
Because you're very clearly able to, point to the value proposition and the fit in this whole thing. And yeah, the key decision makers, to be honest, once you're not a tiny startup, the key decision makers are not necessarily CEOs. If you brought a product to me, I'd probably sell it to my team. So you have to convince my team. And exactly. I do see a lot of people actually trying to take that shortcut and it doesn't work. So this was amazing. This was super helpful because usually I have a lot of founders on this, all of us have product services to sell. So we have a lot of, similar challenges that we relate to. But we all need these tips, as we continue to grow. So super cool.
I'm so glad. And, I think it's a matter of standing apart and, shining and not being very conventional, thinking outside of the box. Right? I was talking to this founder, and they do this vertical farming. So they grow vegetables vertically, and so it's better sustainability-wise and healthier and all these things. And she was like, there is this guy and we really think that he's a perfect investor, but he's a busy CEO and we can't reach him, and we emailed him and LinkedIn him and called his switch desk and and he's also vegetarian and it would be perfect. And I look at her and I'm like, did you send him a bowl of salad? I mean, you're literally growing vegetables, so did you send him what you're selling? And I mean, everyone needs to eat lunch or dinner at some point. So, she was like, oh, no, I have not done that. She's like, okay, just, send him a handwritten note that's in a scented envelope that will definitely guaranteed land on his desk and be opened by him, because usually PAs don't like to get involved in that kind of situations. send him your product or her, right? Like just give them an experience that is going to make them stop and think, "Ooh, that was different. Love that."
I love it. I love it. Awesome advice. So for the next part of the podcast, we love to tell our audience a little nugget on food as medicine, because we know like a bunch of these foods, fruits, vegetables, they're good for us, but no one really understands the depths of why they're good for us. And I feel that once you understand why, you tend to, adopt that lifestyle and you tend to stick to it, right? It's like understanding why. And we at Foodhak, besides having awesome products, we also have a chill line, by the way, but we're also building our own clinical models using AI and generative AI, and we're bringing an app that helps you personalize nutrition soon. So as part of those models, what they help us do is they really help us understand ingredients that have medicinal properties that we can adopt in our day-to-day lives. They are tasty. For example, today I want to talk about blueberries, right? So we all know blueberries are great.
Yeah.
They're antioxidants, and I think actually a fun fact for me learning was that blueberry is not just filled with antioxidants, it's got the highest amount of antioxidants compared to any other fruit.
Yep.
Which is crazy because there's so many fruits. Other berries are antioxidants too. And a deeper benefit I learned that I want to tell the audience about blueberries is that it's great for cognitive function, which is brain function. It actually helps you improve your short-term and long-term memory loss, which, by the way, as a founder, I'll tell you, there's so much that goes on in our day-to-day lives that like my brain has automatically started like doing Control-Alt-Delete on things that are not important, right? And it's like, literally, like I was at my 10-year Wharton reunion this weekend, and my friend was like, "Do you remember this one time we did this?" You don't remember? You don't remember? I'm
Yeah.
like,
You're like,
swear to
I
God,
disregard. I don't need that
I
information.
used to remember everything, right? So clearly for me, I'm going to start having more blueberries because it's great for brain function, and we all need that.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually learned that from an ex of mine. The only good thing that came out of that relationship, that he would literally eat a whole pack of blueberries every single morning. And I was like, okay, they're tasty, but like, what's this obsession with them? And he was like, they're like the best for your brain. Yeah.
Okay.
And he was very much in kind of like the tech and whatever space. I love blueberries. They're delicious. But also I think it's really great what you guys are doing because it's so much kind of research based and factual, because there is so much out there right now. It's like, can't eat this, can't eat that. Egg is good for you. Egg is horrible for you. Don't eat spinach. Don't eat spinach. Like, it's just like, oh my God, can we eat anything without having a controversy? I had an argument with a friend of mine. Well, like she started a crazy argument. I posted a picture of a salad that I made. It was really not that deep. And it had sweet corn in it. And she goes, well, you are someone that people, listen to in terms of the advice, and you claim that this salad is healthy, but since 17th century, there was no proof that sweet corn is good for you, and there was no research done on it. And I was like, are you okay?
There's like a balance between being pragmatic,
Yeah.
and doing your best. And that's why, hopefully an app like this might help.
Yes, please do our thinking for us, the research on our behalf, and I just want you to tell me what to eat.
Thank you for listening to Hack It. I hope you enjoyed the insights and stories that we shared today. Are you hungry for more? Follow us on Instagram at The Food Hack. That's a hack without a C. Or subscribe now to be the first to hear about our next episode when it drops. See you next time.